Hi everyone, it's Aisha, Beau here, and today I'm going to be talking about ways to combat frizz and also how to achieve a more defined wash and go for type 4 hair. As you all can see, my hair is on the wet side. It's definitely looking a little smaller than normal. I decided to go with the theme and I decided to do a very defined wash and go to have on display, I guess, for this video. I did a wash and go this morning and now I'm just letting it air dry. And I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself, but air drying your hair is definitely one of the surefire ways to have it be more defined. But we'll get into that in a moment. Instead of doing a traditional tutorial, I thought it would be more helpful to just sit down and talk with you and go through different points and different tips to help you so that when you try your wash and go or the next time you're styling your hair, it comes out more defined with less frizz. I feel like there are just so many tutorials out there on how to style your hair and just like different people's styling techniques, and rarely do we ever just sit down and present the facts, because a lot of times that's all we need, a little bit of guidance. And I get so many questions on a day-to-day basis on how do I combat frizz, how do I make my wash and goes more defined, and I'm mainly catering to women who have type 4 hair because that's the kind of hair that I have, and we often get left behind in the conversation surrounding natural hair these days, which is so crazy to me because the natural hair movement is kind of something that type 4 women spearheaded because it was our hair in the first place that was being seen as controversial. Anyways, I'm not going to get into that aspect of it, but for those of us type 4 women who do want to explore more defined styles or to decrease frizz with the styles that we're already doing, whether that's a twist out, a flexi rod set, perm rod set, whatever it is, I am here to help. So there are no special announcements today. Oh, there is one special announcement. I will be giving away my very favorite curl defining product, the Aunt Jackie's Flaxseed Elongating Curl Gel, to one lucky subscriber. And I'm not just going to be giving away one tub of this gel, I'm going to be giving away two, because one, I love it so much and I usually run out of it within like at least a 2 or 3 week period, and two, maybe you want to share it with your friends, or if you want to have more, then that's all for you. The rules for this giveaway are super simple. All you have to do is 1, follow me on Instagram, and 2, fill out the form below. There's going to be a link to a form below with your name, your email address, your Instagram handle, so I can make sure that you actually did follow me on Instagram. And then you click submit, and I'm going to pick the winner randomly, and I'm going to announce it in my next video. Alright, now that I've finished my announcement, time to get into the video. Okay, so I'm going to break this video up into 2 parts. First, I'm going to talk specifically about frizz and the reasons you might be experiencing more frizz and ways to try to avoid it. Then the second part of the video, I'm going to be talking specifically about wash and goes for type 4 hair. Alright, so the first reason you might be experiencing frizz is because of breakage. And a lot of times when our strands are broken due to either heat damage, dye damage, perhaps it hasn't been trimmed in a long time and the breakage just stems upward from the ends of your hair, that can cause a lot of frizz. You can tell if your hair is experiencing a lot of breakage when you're doing it. If you take a few strands while you're combing it out and you notice that it's like a little frizzy on the outside as you're styling, that can be a little bit of breakage or damage. And sometimes that damage will make the hair frizz up no matter what you do. So the best way to combat this breakage, because unfortunately you can't necessarily reverse it, is obviously getting regular trims so that you can get rid of the breakage and you can start afresh and anew. And then another way is to beef up the hair masks and protein treatments. So making sure that you stick to doing them once a week. That is usually all you need. You don't need to do it 2 or 3 times a week. I think that's a little excessive, and there is something as over conditioning your hair. So I think doing once a week protein treatments and masks, and that will help to lessen the breakage a bit. But of course, with breakage and heat damaged hair, you have to just trim it and then start afresh. The next item that might be causing some breakage is that you're using a regular towel to dry your hair. I know I wasn't a believer in the first place. I was like, okay, what does the towel have to do with anything? But if you spent all that time in the shower detangling and making sure that your hair has a nice defined wet look to it, and then you go and you use a regular terry cloth towel, that's going to reverse everything that you've just done. So I think it's super important to invest in either a microfiber towel, or if you can't, use a regular t-shirt. These things aren't as heavy on the hair, and it's not going to suck all the moisture out of your hair. And moisture is the most important part of making sure that your hair does not frizz. And I'm gonna get to that one next. Moisture, moisture, moisture. I cannot stress this enough. When it comes to frizz, a lot of times it's caused by the lack of moisture in your hair. The best way to combat this is, of course, like I mentioned previously, doing a weekly leave-in conditioner, a weekly deep condition or hair mask treatment. And another thing to do that's obviously a lot more, I guess, current, or something that you can do as you're styling your hair, is to use a great leave-in conditioner. So a leave-in conditioner that has a lot of moisture in it that helps to lock in the moisture of your hair and retain that moisture. Something that blends well with other products and has just enough hold so that it keeps your hair moisturized throughout the day and the course of the week as you hold the style up. The next thing you can do to reduce frizz on a regular basis is to make sure that you're using products with enough hold. If you're really into definition, you really don't want any frizz, you have to be specific about the types of products you use when styling your hair. A lot of times, unfortunately, even though we love them, we think they're so much softer, cream-based products don't give the type of hold that we really, really need to make sure that we don't have any frizz. And a lot of times that means using a type of gel or mousse, or I think curling gels, or curling cream gels. I don't believe I've ever used a cream gel before. I think I used it once and I wasn't really that into it. So I like to stick straight to a gel. If I'm going for a look that I want that's super defined, like something like this, and if I don't want the humidity to make my hair frizz up more, I have to go in with gel. I know, but if you want defined hair, gel is where it's at. So it's all about finding the right gel for you. And there are plenty of different types of gel out there that aren't damaging to your hair. The one that I love is the Aunt Jackie's Flaxseed Elongating Curling Gel, which I'll be giving away, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video. I think it is great. It has a really, really nice hold to it, and it doesn't make your hair feel flaky. I'll talk more about this when I get into wash and goes, but if you want defined hair and you want to reduce frizz, you have to use products with good hold. So I say the gels are the way to go. So I am definitely a culprit of this. Diffusing with too much heat can make your hair more frizzy. So as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, when it comes to drying your hair, it all depends on the type of look you're going for. So if you want a bigger, more voluminous look, usually requires diffusing the hair or blowing the hair out to make it expand and be a bit bigger. Obviously with bigger hair, that means there's a little bit more frizz. I don't really see anyone with big, huge hair who has no frizz. So it's a matter of what type of look you're going for. So when it comes to diffusing your hair, if you're using a lot of heat, which sometimes I do, I mean, I don't have it on high heat or hot heat, but I do have it on warm, and then I have it on a high level. The best way to combat frizz is actually setting that to cool and high. It's gonna take a little bit longer, but it's gonna help reduce the frizz. It goes kind of in junction with letting your hair air dry, as I'm doing right now, because right now, obviously I'm not outside, I'm not in the heat, and so it's helping my hair to just dry in place and minimize the amount of frizz that I'm gonna have. Last but not least, one of the biggest causes of frizz is that you are not letting your hair fully dry. So a lot of times we are in a rush. I know some people's hair takes forever to dry, especially if you have a lot of heavy products in it. It takes eons and eons to dry, but your hair will be more frizzy if it's not fully dry. So if you have a twist out in, a perm rod set in, a flexi rod set, a braid out in, a wash and go, if you go and then try to manipulate it and it's not fully dry, you're gonna experience some frizz. So even if it takes 12, 13, 14 hours, if you want your hair to be defined, you wait those hours until your hair is completely dry to remove it from the twist, remove it from the braids, or take out the perm or flexi rod set. I'm telling you, there is no way that you can avoid frizz, no matter how much oil you put in it afterwards, if you don't let your hair completely dry. Also, there is, actually I'm jumping the gun here, but with wash and goes, don't do a wash and go. Like, my thing is, if I do a wash and go in the morning, I'm gonna let it air dry throughout the day. Sometimes I'll diffuse it if I want like a bigger look. But if I don't diffuse it and I decide to just let it air dry and I go about my business all day long, and for some reason there's still some parts of my hair that are wet by the time I'm about to go to bed, no matter how tired, how drunk, how not in the mood I am, I make sure that I dry it with my diffuser before my head touches that pillow, because that is just going to be counterproductive to me spending all that time doing the style, because then it's going to be even more frizzy the next day. So you have to make sure that your hair is 100,000% dry in order to reduce frizz. Now to the point that you've all been waiting for, wash and goes for type 4 hair. Yes, let's get into it. I'm gonna help you be a better wash and goer. My friends like to call me the wash and go queen, because ever since I did my big chop, I have been determined to perfect the wash and go. Even though my hair is type 4, I feel like it is possible, and as you can see, it is possible. You just gotta believe in yourself. And along with that belief, there are a few other steps that I think are very important to making sure that your wash and go is up to par. So the first few things that I want you to do is keep these items in mind. So I want you to keep these in mind before we go into the ways in which you can do a more effective wash and go. One, wash and goes, because of the fact that they show off your natural curl pattern, they are a much tighter style than twist outs, flexi rod sets, perm rod sets, etc., etc., etc. So your hair can appear shorter with a wash and go. That's one reason why a lot of people steer away from them, because they feel like their hair just looks a lot shorter. And honestly, I'm not like that crazy over length. It's up to your preference. So if you are worried about your hair appearing shorter and you would like a more elongated style, I would advise not doing a wash and go, because it's inevitable, if your hair is healthy, that the curls are going to spring right back up. I had to look down at my monitor to make sure that you guys can like get the effect. The next thing to keep in mind, I'm like going off the top on this. So one, it's obviously going to be a lot tighter. Two, with wash and goes, this is not making a curl pattern. This is enhancing, or not enhancing, but like kind of enhancing or revealing your natural, unique curl pattern. We all have our own type of curl pattern. Some people's are looser, some people's are tighter, some people's are a little bit kinkier, but we all have a curl pattern. So don't let anybody tell you you ain't got no curl pattern, girl, because you do. And I mean that, like that wasn't a joke. So just keep in mind, your hair is going to be shrunken. It's going to reveal your curl pattern. It's not going to make one, so your wash and go is not going to look like someone else's wash and go. Okay, now let's get started on the tips. So the first thing is that moisture is key. When you're doing a wash and go, because of the fact that I really don't care about frizz, when I do a wash and go, my hair isn't sopping wet like it used to be. But if your main goal is to enhance definition, make sure that it is super defined and long lasting, you want to make sure that your hair is as saturated as possible with water. Water is the biggest, best, and most important moisturizing saturation ingredient there is. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Every product that you use, when you look at the ingredients section, it should start with water. water-based products are very, very, very important. So if that's not the first ingredient, you need to put that product down and go right on down the aisle and find something else. So making sure that your hair is very, very wet when you're styling is so important. The next thing that is really important when it comes to achieving a great wash and go is making sure that your hair is fully detangled. And I know that this can be a process, but I often, when I'm doing a wash and go, I detangle my hair twice. Once in the shower, section it off, and then another time when I'm putting in the leave-in conditioner. You have to make sure that your hair is super, super detangled, because with a wash and go, the key is to make sure that you're getting the products on every single strand of hair. And when you get the products separated like equally throughout all the strands of hair, that's when they can really do their thing. That's when that gel or that cream is going to really wrap itself around your hair strands and emphasize that curl pattern and hold on to that curl pattern that you see when you're taking a shower. You know how when you take a shower and you're like, oh yes, my hair, I got all these, you know, like my hair is a lot more defined than normal, and then as soon as you get out and you just let it dry, you don't put any product in it, or if you do put some product in it but you don't detangle it, all that curl pattern that you saw in the shower is gone. So what detangling on super, super saturated hair and then adding the product on does is it holds on to that curl pattern and says, no, you're not gonna leave me today. So wet hair, detangle the hair. Then the next thing that you have to do is make sure you use a leave-in conditioner. A lot of people think that, okay, all I care about is the definition, so I'm gonna go straight to the gel or straight to the curling cream, but you have to include some type of leave-in conditioner. If you don't want something that's gonna weigh your hair down, use a spray leave-in conditioner. I've been using the one by Intersense, their Sweet Spirit leave-in conditioner. I've been using that a lot lately because it pairs well with a lot of styling products, and also it's super lightweight. Or you can find a light to medium hold regular cream leave-in conditioner. One of my other favorites is the Kinky Curly Not Today leave-in detangler. That is my absolute favorite, and it also goes really well with a lot of styling products. So you have to use a leave-in, because what you want to do is you want to retain and maintain that moisture. So even though you have a wash and go, you don't want it to be crunchy. Usually it is a little crunchy on the first day, I'm going to be honest. It is crunchy on the first day, but after the first day has passed, after that your hair is going to feel a lot softer and it's going to look a lot bigger and more glamorous because you have that nice leave-in conditioner in there. Now if you don't put a leave-in conditioner, your hair is going to be crunchy, it's going to flake, and it's going to be crunchy throughout the duration, and it might not even like bounce around, it might stick to one part of your head. So it's very, very important to go with the leave-in conditioner. So what are the steps we covered so far? Super wet hair, detangling, add in a leave-in conditioner. All right, and now the next thing you gotta do is you gotta get your styling product. Now this is where you can go on two different paths. For us type 4 women, we have two choices when it comes to a styling product for an effective wash and go. You can either go with a gel or you can go with a curling cream. So you're gonna get two different results. Oh, you can also, if you have type 3 hair, I have seen some people mention they have type 4 hair and they use mousse, but I have never tried mousse. I'm just like, I'm not in the mood to waste my time. So I haven't done a wash and go with mousse. So from experience, as someone who does wash and goes, I would suggest gel or a curling cream. So you're going to, if you want to really, really show off that definition, really, really minimize that frizz, go the gel route. If you want to show off some definition, but you're okay with having some frizz and you want a slightly bigger look, go with a curling cream. Honestly, it's really about preference. There isn't one that's better or more superior than the other one. The only thing is, when you go with a curling cream, you have to make sure that you find one that's actually going to hold your hair with this wash and go. Sometimes that can be a little bit tricky. I recently used a really, really good one by Diva Curl that I have in a past video. I'm going to put, I guess, a card that's going to pop up the links to that video up here so that you can see it, and I'll also put the name of it down below. I can't remember it off the top right now, but I'll put the specific name of that Diva Curl curling cream. It's a little bit pricey, but it has honestly given me one of the best wash and goes, or non-gel wash and goes, that I've ever done. So once you decide on which one you're going to use, now it's about application. With a wash and go, small sections make the world of difference. Small sections make a big difference. That's what I wanted to say originally, so I'm gonna say it twice. You have to go in small sections. So what I do is section my hair off into 4. Then from there, I make the first little section off into like several different sections. I start from my little Beanie Baby kitchen back here. I go, I do my kitchen, then I go and I release a little bit more hair and go through from there. I know it's daunting, I know it's gonna take a little while, but if your goal is to get definition and your goal is to do a style that doesn't have a lot of frizz and you really wanna achieve that wash and go, you gotta put the time in. You gotta give yourself some time to do this style and really take your time with it. So sectioning off your hair is so important. Starting small and going through your entire head is so important because again, our goal is to make sure that this product wraps itself around the strands and holds on to that curl. So you gotta go through each section. Now, once I've detangled, you can either use a Denman brush or you can use your fingers, whichever you want to do. Usually with a Denman brush, I love a Denman brush, but what I've found is that it makes your hair spring up even more. You'll get really defined and super coiled curls with the Denman brush, but it's going to be real tight. So another thing that you can do, and especially for those with type 4B, 4C, or specifically just 4C hair, I think finger detangling as you put the product in, so I guess that's called like shingling or raking the product through your hair, is going to be the most effective for you. So in those small sections, going through, getting a glob of product, like not too much, but like a good amount of product in your hand, then going through and just raking it through each section. You got to go one by one, and you'll feel and see when your hair has taken to the product and that curl starts to define itself. So go through small sections, rake it in, and make sure the two most important parts, your roots and your ends. So make sure that you're getting a good amount of product on the roots. So what I like to do, you know how, if you did a relaxer back in the day, you know how it goes. So I like to swipe it on here, swipe it on here, around here. Then I go in and rake the product through the hair that way. Then from there, I just work my way down and I make sure I'm holding on and I rake the product onto my ends. The ends are so important because what also makes a wash and go look even prettier is when the ends are nicely coiled. So you gotta make sure that you have product on the ends and that the ends are very nicely saturated. And if your hair starts to dry along the way, make sure you have a spray bottle on hand so that you can and get that hair nice and wet again. So if you re-wet your hair before adding in the product, make sure you spray it on, detangle it with your brush or tangle teaser, whatever you use to detangle your hair, detangle it, and then you're gonna go back in. The next thing that I wanna cover is drying methods. So I actually spent like, I feel like maybe two or 3 weeks doing different drying methods on my hair after a wash and go to see what the results were. So in my findings, this was like real research that I did. I was like, because I want to be able to tell people like what works and what does what to your hair. So if you want super like tight defined curls that have very minimal frizzing, you need to air dry your hair. And air dry your hair, it comes twofold. You air dry it within your home for a majority of the time because that kind of, it protects you from the elements, it protects you from the humidity and the moisture or the heat that is outside that can affect your style. So do a majority of the hair drying at home in the comfort of your own home if you have nowhere else to go, if you want your curls to be really defined and to be as tightly coiled as possible. Do it at home. The The next option is air drying your hair in home and out and about. This obviously is going to result in a little bit more frizz, but it's going to not be as much frizz. So it's really not that big of a risk. Also, it's very ideal if your hair is like mine and it takes forever to dry, because at least going outside is going to help the drying process speed up just a little bit, because with air drying, it takes so long in general. So doing it all at home is usually like you have to have all the time in the world. The next option is obviously diffusing your hair. So using a diffuser head, and the diffuser heads are great for curly hair, curly and natural hair, because it gets really like into the strands, and because of the way that the diffuser is, it caters specifically to curly hair. Whereas when you have the concentrated nozzle, sometimes that will like flatten the hair out a little bit. I actually like it with the concentrated nozzle sometimes to go into my roots if I want to do like a really big look. If you've seen in one of my past wash and go videos, I did use the concentrated nozzle and it gave me really great results. And then the last thing that you can do, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, you can also sit under a hair dryer, but that's gonna make your hair really flat. Like, it's gonna dry it, but it's gonna make it really flat, and it also will make it like even crunchier. So I wouldn't really recommend that method at all. With all three of these different drying techniques, again, you'll produce a different result, whether the most frizz will be from the blow drying your hair with the concentrated nozzle, then a little bit lower frizz but still frizzy is with the diffuser. Less frizz than that is air drying your hair in and out of the house throughout the entire day. And the way to keep with the most minimal frizz possible is air drying your hair in the house for the entire day. Now, after you've decided which drying method you're going to use, the last thing I would like to mention is something that I mentioned in the first half of this video. You have to make sure that your hair is 100,000 gazillion% dry before you go to bed, before you start manipulating it. Like, the most that I'm doing with my hair right now, I'm really trying to be as minimal as possible. It's looking a little bit crazy and lopsided right now because it's still drying, but to get that style, I'm just like, to get my style eventually, I'm waiting till it's like a little bit more dry before I start manipulating it, because I want it to be very defined. So I'm just shaking it around like this. I'm trying not to touch it with my fingers because the oil and the moisture from my fingers is going to create more frizz in my hair. So I just gotta look a little bit crazy until it's time for me to go out, and I just have to kind of like risk gaining more frizz, which I really don't care about. I love frizz. But yeah, so you have to make sure that your hair is fully dry before you manipulate it any further or before you go to bed, because that is going to defeat the purpose of everything and all the time that you just spent trying to rake through, comb through, and detangle your hair. So I would advise making sure that your hair is super dry afterwards. Well, there you have it. That is my entire video. I hope that this video was informative and that it taught you something new, or it helped you to become, I guess, braver and decide to actually try a wash and go. I feel like all hair is wash and go type hair. It's just, I kind of really feel, you know what, I honestly feel like we need to change it from wash and go to something else. Like, it's not just a wash and go. The only true wash and go actually isn't good for your hair, because who just washes their hair, steps out of the shower, doesn't put any leave-in, doesn't detangle, doesn't do anything, and then goes? Maybe white girls, I don't know. But there is no such thing as a true wash and go, especially in the natural hair community. And I hope that I've inspired you to give it a try yourself, or to improve your method and technique. As always, thank you so much for watching. If you have any comments, further questions, concerns, leave them in the comment section below. You know I love responding to my comments. And make sure you give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so that you know when my next video goes live. Lastly, be sure to enter my giveaway. It is my absolute favorite gel. It's my favorite curl defining product ever, the Aunt Jackie's Flaxseed Elongated Curling Gel. And so I want to share the wealth with you. So make sure that you follow me on Instagram and then fill out the form below with your name, email address, and Instagram handle to be entered. Thank you, and until next time.